Welcome to Super Talk, the podcast that scratches your superhero itch. Just two suburban dads nerding out over superhero stuff on the small screen and the big. Buckle up, people. Enjoy the ride. Oakley dokley. Hey, YouTube! Thanks for watching. Make sure you stay for the commercials.
You forgot to turn those on.
No, I haven't done that yet.
I'd turn them on for you.
Oh, okay.
You said, I'll take care of it tonight. And then I looked. I'm like, they're not on yet. I turned them on. Because I went to look at one of our old videos and I'm like, why aren't the commercials playing? And I was like, oh, he didn't turn it on.
No. I haven't set it up yet. Did you do the AdWords thing?
You set up the ad.
I set up the account.
AdSense account.
Yeah, but we have to go in and dial that up too.
You have to. I don't know what the hell that is, but
we'll do it. I got it. When I'm putting all this together,
fishing and going to distilleries is more important than turning ads on our YouTube page.
Did you see that fish I caught?
Oh my God, that was a monster.
I think that might have been.
I saw Tim's and I was like, "Whoa, that's a good one."
Yeah.
Like Tim's was like a 14 incher, like 12, 14 inches.
Yeah.
Yours was 16 easy.
Oh, I think it was over 5 pounds, if not 5 pounds.
That thing was a monster.
It was a beast. We caught a lot of spotted bass, but that was the only largemouth bass we caught. Spotted bass are very aggressive, and they're kind of taking over the lake.
Yeah.
It's like an invasive kind of fish. They're very, very aggressive. They have little teeth, too. But that's the largemouth bass that I caught. It was insane. I caught a catfish. I caught a bunch of spotted bass.
But that thing was humongous.
Yeah.
Was it a fun ride?
The best.
Yeah.
It was so fun.
Don't lose it. Don't lose it. Don't lose it. Let it run. Okay, bring it in.
The whole time I'm thinking, be the right knot.
Yeah.
Be the right knot.
Yeah, exactly.
Please let me have tied the right knot.
Exactly. Because that's usually where it fails, right? It's the knot on
Either
the
that
hook.
or they're so powerful and they stretch on branches and stuff, they fray the line and they heat it up with the friction and then it snaps.
Yeah, that's when you're fishing in shallow water. If they try to take a cut underneath like a branch or something and then tangle the line or something, then you're trying to pull them back through that. I mean, you forget it. Yeah. I mean, you're done.
Yep. All right, I think we're ready, Professor. How are you doing?
Let's go. Yep.
In 3.
Welcome to Super Talk, the weekly podcast dedicated to news and reviews of comic book media on the big and small screen. This is episode number 70, and I'm your host, Brian Professor Pettis, and with me, as always, is my illustrious co-host, Titanium Tony Estrella. Titanium!
Professor!
We hit the 70 episode, number 70.
70, the big 70. Yep.
Yeah. And was that about how big the fish you caught, 70-pounder you caught this weekend?
He was a good 5 at least. We didn't have anything to weigh him on the boat, but that was a big bass. It was probably one of the biggest bass I've ever caught. I caught one in...
It was like this big?
No, yeah. The fish stories always are great. They're always great, yeah. He was big.
I saw that picture. That was a monster. Yeah, and I had a crazy... whirlwind weekend.
Yeah, how cute did Kendall look down there? You were sending me pictures from Universal.
Yeah, I was down there for the Land of the Mouse. My daughter Kendall, I went kind of crazy whirlwind reason, but my wife ended up contracting COVID-19 last week, and she was supposed to go down and move my daughter out of her.
She got the Rona.
Yeah,
yep.
It just all of a sudden, and I felt fine, thankfully, and I had no problems, but she was supposed to go down and move my daughter out of her condo in the University of Tennessee and drive her down to Orlando. She's going to be in the Disney College program this summer, and all of a sudden Thursday, it's like I guess I'm going. So I had to rebook flights and all kinds of other stuff, and it was fantastic. I'm glad I got to spend 4 days with my daughter, who I adore, and we moved her out, drove down to Orlando. So got to spend the day in
You drove from Tennessee to Orlando?
Knoxville to Orlando, yeah. Whoa. It's about 10 and a half hours.
Whoa.
Yeah. We drove halfway the first night and then the second half on Saturday.
Oh, you split it up?
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, because I flew down Friday morning and then did half the ride and then the other half the Saturday morning. But Yeah, I mean, in a lot of ways, it was really good that I went. I mean, packing her car, we had to take stuff to storage, and packing her car was a nightmare, and just, there's a lot to figure out, and I'm kind of pretty good at that stuff. So it ended up working out great, and I was really thankful to spend some time with her. We had a really great time. We got to go to Universal, and she was very happy I was with her because I do the roller coasters and Mom doesn't. So that was another reation for me to be there. But
yeah, you got to spend some time in Marvel Land, huh?
Yeah, we spent time in Universal Studios, and which was great. And then I moved her in on Monday, and so she's down there working. And
awesome.
First day of work is she actually goes through what's called Traditions on Friday, which is an 8-hour training course on the Disney traditions that you have to kind of comply with. Yeah. But her first real day of work is Sunday. She's working in the kind of exciting. She's working in Epcot in the what they call World Discovery part of the park, which is where, if you're familiar with Epcot, where Test Track and Mission Space is currently, but it's also where the new Guardians of the Galaxy ride is. So currently,
she doesn't know what she's doing. She's working at retail?
She's working merchandise. She's going to be working in one of the shops. So currently, the way her schedule looks today, she'll be training at Test Track and Mission Space, but Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind opens up on Friday. A week from Friday. A week from this Friday. So the weekend, the Friday before Memorial Day, Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind opens to the public.
Seen a lot of videos of that. It looks pretty cool.
So they've had a bunch of I would say internet influencers have been down there to ride it. Some of the press was able to ride it. I talked to Kendall's roommate, who's been down there since January. She said she's ridden it 4 times. She works at Epcot as well, and on her lunch break, she goes over and rides it. So they had cast previews. Basically, if you worked at Disney, you could go ride it for free. It's still behind the wall, so it's what they call backstage. You can't see it from the park quite yet. You have to, they haven't opened it up. But she said, and I talked to another girl who said she had ridden it 6 times and is obsessed with it. It's amazing. Yeah. But anyway, there's 3 shops. There's a shop attached to Test Track, a shop attached to Mission Space, and there's going to be a shop adjacent to the Guardians ride called The Wonders of Xandar. And she's not on the schedule yet for Xandar, but I believe she can move between all 3 of those spots. So there's a possibility she's working that shop at some point in time. So
good for her.
Yeah, it'll be a great experience for her. I'm really excited. She's pretty happy and excited as well. But yeah, it'll be fun. And she's hoping this week she does training Sunday, Monday. She's off Tuesday, Wednesday. But Sunday, Monday, and Thursday she's in training. And she's hoping that part of her training is riding that ride. Like, sure. Oh yeah, hey, we're all going to go ride the new ride because we all got to get to know it. So yeah, I mean, she's excited. And oh, by the way, if she does ride it, she said she was going to film a video review for us, and we can kind of put it into our YouTube video.
Sure, I'll spice it in.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Splicing it into the YouTube video. So
absolutely. And how's the Rona Queen feeling?
She's feeling better. Yeah, good. She's on the mend.
Good. I heard it didn't hit her as hard as some people, but hard enough to knock her down. She
really felt bad Friday and Saturday. Is feeling much better now, but still not 100%. But she's fatigued. Isolating and quarantining and all the other stuff. Like, I've barely even seen her. So, it's the world we live in, unfortunately. And thankfully, my son and I have been symptom-free and haven't had any issues. So we've been lucky.
Well, the professor has special powers, one of which are virus controls. He can control viruses within his body. Yeah, healing factor.
I actually got it, but it only lasted like 30 seconds, right? It's like the healing factor kicked in.
Extracted it from your body. Yeah,
exactly.
That's cool.
All right, well, let's get into the show.
I hope she gets well soon.
Yeah, me too. Yeah,
Godspeed.
Absolutely. Okay. Thank you, Titanium. Let's thank the patrons. These are the listeners that bring the show to you. Patreon.com/supertalk is how you become a member. $1 an episode, people. That's all it takes to help support the show directly. We really appreciate it if you do that. And Titanium's got a bag full of swag that he's looking to give away. So please sign up for the Patreon, and we'll make sure that you get some of those giveaways sent directly to you. So patreon.com/supertalk is how you support us directly.
Much love, people. Much love.
So let's get into the review section, and no new episodes or content to review this week after a massive week last week with Doctor Strange and the finale of Moon Knight. But we did get 2 new pieces of content that we want to review. The first one we want to review is The Boys Season 3 trailer. The full trailer was dropped a couple days ago, and I think the series premieres June 6th, I believe?
Yes.
Yeah, and we are both huge fans of The Boys. Season 1 and Season 2 were off the chain and, rocked the online live action comic book themed superhero television show kind of world. We're all looking forward to Season 3.
Unique, different, and very gory.
Look, if you haven't watched The Boys, now's a good time to do it because when Season 3 hits, it's what everybody's going to be talking about.
Get caught up.
So go watch Season 1 and 2 on Amazon Prime. This third season is going to be insane. So the trailer, we got a teaser trailer about a month and a half ago that didn't really give us a lot, but just kind of give us some kind of snapshots of what we might be expecting. This one really kind of gave us a better idea about the plot. It completely
delivered. Yeah.
We understand.
Well, we knew Soldier Boy was going to be in it.
We do. Jensen Ackles, Jensen Ackles was in The Walking Dead. Is that where he's from? I can't remember. I think that's where he...
Supernatural.
That's right. That's where he was. And so he is playing Soldier Boy, who is kind of like the Boys version. So all of the Boys characters are modeled after some popular superhero. Boy, you are just crushing.
Yeah, I'm trying to fix the set here. Sorry.
All of the Boys characters are modeled after some type of popular superhero, like the Flash and Superman, and Homelander's like the main guy on the Boys team, and he's modeled after Superman, for example. But Soldier Boy is kind of like their version of Captain America, and it looks like to us from what we've seen from the trailer. So at the end of last season, Huey left the Boys team to go work for a senator who was really kind of anti-soups.
Yeah.
And we find out at the end of that season that she's a soup herself, and she was the one that was exploding everybody's heads that nobody knew about. She was the one who had the powers to do that.
She's working for the big corporation. Vought.
Yeah, Vought. And so it seems like she is now working with
Insider threat.
Right. Basically, they've placed her in that position, and she's publicly denounced Vought and the soups, but she's working alongside them. But he goes and works for her, and it seems like now he's got a pretty high-level position in the government where Butcher is now working for him and has been working for him for the past year. So what the trailer tells us is Season 3 starts like a year after the end of Season 2. It says there's been a year's time frame. And Homelander's been on this redemption arc of coming out and telling everybody that he made mistakes and he fell in love with the wrong woman and all this other stuff, and he wants to be redeemed. And he starts doing like his things again, and people start loving him again.
Probably the best part of the trailer is the way they actually captured his mental demise. Like, he is definitely mentally being broken down and getting deeper and deeper into this neurosis, sarcosis. I mean, it's fascinating to watch. I can't wait to see what they do with him.
So it looks like the entire Boys team, who for years had been hunting the soups, it looks like they kind of took a sabbatical for a year and were kind of trying to lead the straight and narrow. They figured they had kind of done as much as they can do, and they don't want to keep operating outside of the law. And the FBI agent who took in Butcher's son has kind of been keeping an eye on them and say, just keep your nose clean and everything will be fine. They've been working for Huey and doing things kind of the right way. But then it seems like Huey comes to him and says, it's not working. We got to go back to the old ways.
You were right.
This
isn't working. They don't know what they're doing. You can't get anything done. We got to go back to your way.
And
I wonder what triggers him to think that. It's going to be great.
Well, he must find out that his boss is working for Vought, and it just kind of totally throws him for a loop. But Starlight has always been working both sides. From the soup side, she's on the Seven team, but she's kind of Huey's girlfriend, and is kind of working with the.
It looks like Boys. The Deep and Atron are back on the Seven.
Looks like they're back, right? But the biggest reveal, I think, from the trailer is we saw in the first teaser that Butcher somehow, some way gets powers, and we were led to believe that he took Compound V. Well, we know that they've been trying. So the way that the superheroes get their powers on this show is there's a chemical called Compound V that they can inject in children, hopefully babies, which ends up turning them into soups.
Yeah.
They found that if they gave Compound V to adults, it kills them.
It ended up either killing them or having
deforming them or something.
Yes, some kind of. It rarely ever worked.
They'd get powers like temporarily, but the powers would end up turning on them and basically kill. Like one person took Compound V and ended up be able to come like the Human Torch, but then he ended up basically just melting himself, and it's like, oh well, that didn't work, right?
Yeah.
So
that's why they were giving it to terrorists to make superpowered terrorists, knowing that some of them would die, but some of them might be superpowered.
Right. It was all random, but the likelihood of a baby or a young child being able to take this
was the ticket.
So they're trying to see. Well, it seems like they've developed a formula that allows somebody to have superpowers for 24 hours.
Yeah.
And Queen Maeve, who's also a member of the Seven, hates Homelander and wants him taken out. And she goes to Butcher and gives him 3 vials of this formula. Says this will give you superpowers for 24 hours, and use it So he's like, I'm finally playing on equal ground, and seems like he might be going off the rails a little bit.
Oh yeah, he's going off the rails.
And then he ends up releasing Soldier Boy, who had been frozen and put into cryostasis something.
They make a sentence. They say something in the trailer that this is a weapon that could fucking destroy Homelander. I wonder if they're talking about the weapon being Soldier Boy, because it looks like he's got more powers than Captain America.
I think a lot of the scenes we saw in the trailer of Soldier Boy were flashbacks from like when he was fighting in like the 40s
except for when he was
50s.
In that thick beard.
Right. And then he was put in cryostasis because he became too dangerous. And then Butcher accidentally, releases him, or maybe purposely releases him. And it seems like his powers are like off the charts. Like he blasts out of his chest and throws. Who's the Asian girl? I can't remember the name of her character.
Yeah.
Who's on the boys' team? She's also a suit, but
with Frenchie.
Yeah. But anyway, it looks great. We're literally
Soldier Boy was part of a group called Payback back in the day, and the Crimson whatever, like their Scarlet version of Scarlet Witch, is part of their team, and some other characters are part of their team, which would be really cool to find out. I hope we get a lot of those characters. That'll be fun. Yeah. I think it looks awesome.
We'll get a lot of those flashbacks, I'm sure. But
we're gonna review it, people. Stay tuned. We'll explain shit and we'll get into it.
I tell you, for the next couple of weeks, we're gonna definitely be kind of making stuff up here to kind of fill some of the content. But first week of June,
a lot dropping this week.
Well, yeah, but also first week in June, we've got Ms. Marvel and The Boys premiering, which is going to be... So we got that to kind of occupy. And then a month later, we're going to have Thor. So it's going to be crazy. Yeah. So
and
anyway.
then She-Hulk in August.
Yeah, and that's the next news. We just... Disney had a in-person press event today at 4 p.m. Eastern Time.
It's called Upfront.
Yeah, where they basically, for the first time since COVID, they were able to meet with the press in person. So this is the first in-person press event they've had in a couple of years. And probably since D23 in 2019 was the last time they actually were in person for anything. But so they said, hey, we're going to make some announcements today. We're going to get in front of you guys and kind of tell you what we got going on for the rest of the year.
Basically, this event is called Upfront. It's for advertisers. It's to get advertisers excited. As you know, Disney Plus is going with a cheaper version of their streaming service that will run ads, which is going to be huge for them and very important for them. So these upfront events, all the studios do them, all the streaming devices do them that have advertising. They get in front of big-time advertisers to get them pumped and excited for their product so that they can start planning their advertising dollars into their systems.
Right, so they can prepare for, hey, if we're going to have to budget for Disney Plus, we want to do that now.
Right.
But
and how much should we budget?
Right, and this was a Disney event, so they did talk about, Obi-Wan coming out here later this month, and they did talk about...
Hulu.
They talked about some other things that Star Wars has planned for the rest of the year. They talked about some Pixar stuff that's coming and some other projects they got going on Disney Plus. But there were some Marvel announcements. And the primary one, I think the most exciting one for us is, which had leaked earlier in the week. Titanium picked this up. I think the UK Disney Plus site or something had accidentally leaked
the release date
of the series. But we got a full trailer for the She-Hulk series. And it's now has a new title. It's called She-Hulk Attorney at Law, which is really cool.
Yeah.
But we got a full trailer.
Yeah.
And we got to see her as She-Hulk a
lot of scenes. Yeah, it was great.
So it looks like early on, we see the car accident where she gets really hurt, and so we understand that, again, the history of Jessica Walters. In the comic books, is she gets in a car accident, and the only way she has a very unique blood type, and the only way that she can be saved is through a blood transfusion, and it just happens to be her cousin Bruce, who's the compatible blood type, and he's like, well, who knows how this is going to go, but she ends up getting irradiated by gamma rays because of the blood transfusion, but she's it looks like early on in the series, she's like transforming between her normal self and the She-Hulk persona like uncontrollably. But it looks like later on she's able to control it, and she's able to retain all of her personality and thoughts and everything else, similar to what. And we do see Professor Hulk in this show. And
we see the Abomination as well.
Yep, we see a lot of things. We saw the Abomination. We saw some other, and it seems like the plot is going to be that somebody sets up a legal team to defend superpowered individuals.
Right.
And they want her to lead that legal team. And it just happens that she ends up becoming a superpowered individual herself.
Yeah.
But she was She-Hulk a lot in the trailer, which is great. She actually went on a date, and the guy was just a big, huge dude. He's like, this is the best date I've had in a while. He goes, want to get out of here? And she picks him up and carries him to the bedroom. It's funny as hell.
It's going to be a comedy. It's going to be like Ally McBeal, a courtroom comedy. And that's the way it played to me. Very, very unique. Like
I thought the special effects were great in the
special
trailer.
effects, you know what? The CGI on her, I thought her face kind of looked wonky at some point.
They'll fix it up.
That's what I'm saying. They got plenty of time to do that. I'm sure the CGI hasn't been refined yet. It was very raw. As far as I'm concerned, some of it looked really wonky as shit. But the rest of it, like I actually laughed out loud at some of the jokes and some of the scenes. I thought it looks really good.
Well, we saw
Titanium, the villain. There was a scene where she broke through the wall in the courtroom, and that looks cheesy as hell. I hope that's not her outfit because that looks ridiculous. She looks like she's in some kind of New Orleans Mardi Gras parade. It's kind of weird, but. I think
we saw Tim Roth. We saw the actual Abomination character,
and we saw him in his human form.
Yep, Tim Roth. That's what I mean. We saw Tim Roth. Yeah.
And then Emily Blonsky,
Emil
Blonsky. Yeah. Oh, I came close. I almost got that one.
Yeah, nailed it.
Anyway, I thought that was great. And then we saw him as the Abomination. Maybe they're trying to turn him into an anti-hero.
Possibly.
Because he's definitely in the same containment cellar that Wong got him out of for Shang-Chi. Yep. So I think that was...
Hey, the one thing the trailer told me was that Mark Ruffalo and the Hulk are going to play a massive role in this series. He's not just like a cameo. He is going to be in
not a cameo.
Many scenes with the two of them together... training and fighting and he's going to be in a lot of this series.
Very cool.
Yeah, so
I'm kind of excited for this.
She-Hulk is a great character, and I'm glad they chose to do her. She's really she's been an Avenger. So I think this is a really good character to kind of carry forward into she would be a perfect replacement for the Hulk on the Avengers, for example. So say they wanted to diversify the Avengers a little bit, let's bring some more female heroes into the team. Well, she's the perfect replacement for the Hulk, right? And I think that would be great. So
yeah, a lot of rumors out there that from inside the studio and people that were working on She-Hulk were saying it was a mess. That was the big thing. This is a mess. Production is a mess. It is awful. It's not going well. And that was a lot of the rumors. And I think they're talking about the CGI, which they can clean up. I'm not worried about it. But the actual plot and the story and some of the one-liners, I think it looked great. I'm kind of excited about it.
Yeah, the other big announcement they made about the series was originally we were told it was going to be a 10-episode series, and now it's been reduced to 9. So my hope is that...
Half hour, right?
I believe they're...
Yeah, it's a half hour.
26-minute episodes or 28-minute episodes. My hope is that they're extending those 9 episodes beyond the typical 28 minutes, and we're getting longer episodes, but less of them. So I'm hoping it goes over the 30-minute mark. If we have to deal with what we did that with WandaVision, where we're getting 27 minutes of content, and then
Oh, that's maddening.
I know.
That was tough.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited for this now. And think about this, people. Think about Disney Plus and the stuff that they're putting out, the shows that they're putting out, how diverse they are. You get Moon Knight, you got Miss Marvel, you got Hawkeye, completely different. And that's so great. I mean, they're always keeping you on your toes. I love that.
Well, I mean, and it seems like to me that they're definitely using each one of these series in some way as springboards into later content. I don't want to get into it now because we'll talk about it in a minute, but I think Moon Knight was definitely somewhat of a bridge into Thor: Love and Thunder, and I'll kind of talk about it when we talk about some of the new things that we saw from Thor: Love and Thunder today as well. But I think the reason why they flopped Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania with the Marvels movie next year, so they swapped spots, is because they wanted to have the Secret Invasion series that's coming out on Disney Plus happen before the Marvels, because I'm sure there's stuff that happens in there that's going to be part of that movie, and they were not certain of when that series was going to be released to Disney Plus. They're like, we need to push this back because if this movie comes out before that series, it's going to be weird.
Doesn't make sense.
Right. Yeah. So I think they're definitely using these series as springboards into bigger projects, similar to what they did with WandaVision and Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, and I think what they're doing with Falcon and Winter Soldier and Captain America 4. Yeah. I think they're doing that, and I think, it's great, and it keeps us entertained. It keeps our interest, right? Which is what the point is, right?
Yeah, very. I mean, Moon Knight, they really detached themselves from the whole MCU as a whole, and it was kind of a very standalone project, which was very cool. We wanted to see more inclusion of MCU characters, and
what it did do, though, is introduce a pantheon of gods that we were unfamiliar with into the MCU.
Yeah.
And we know there's a subplot of gods in the Thor: Love and Thunder movie, and I think that that's one of the lead-ins there. And there's some things we saw today that I'll kind of talk about in a few minutes. But
I think Gore the God Butcher is going to change the MCU forever.
Well, I hope he does. It's his job. All right, let's jump into the news section. A few things, really kind of cool stuff that came out this past week. So last week we announced that Keanu Reeves had been signed to an undisclosed role. We kind of gave you our thoughts about what he would be playing. Well, this past week we got an announcement that Jason Statham has been signed by Marvel to an undisclosed role.
The new Iron Fist.
Well, he's a little too old for that role, right?
No, just kidding.
But, Jason Statham is a big get for them, right?
Huge action star.
Been in tons of,
Transporter's awesome.
Transporter was fantastic
Expendables.
movies. Expendables. Fast and the Furious franchise has been in a million things. What's the Guy Ritchie movie with the Lock, Stock, and Smoking Barrels? Oh, my God, he was hysterical in that movie. And what's the one with Brad Pitt where he plays the boxer? What's that one too? I can't remember. Oh, you don't remember the Guy Ritchie movie? Oh, it's hysterical. But anyway, he's a big actor for them to get, and I think the question now is, who is he going to be playing? He's obviously older, right? He's in his 40s, so he's not going to be playing a young superhero who's going to be around for a long time. So, question is he playing a hero or a villain? Mm-hmm. And if so, who is he playing? And is he going to be British, or is he going to fake an American accent or whatever? So that there's a lot of conjecture of who could he be playing? Who's he going to be? I've got some thoughts. I don't know if it's and I would wonder why they would use him for that. But one of the big, guesses out there was he'd be playing Captain Britain, who is Psylocke, or Betsy Braddock's brother, Brian Braddock, and he has his own kind of superhero team that he's had over the years called Excalibur. And is that a team that he's going to be leading, or is that a hero that's going to be introduced into the MCU? I have no idea, but that's somebody who could be playing. The other kind of guess that I've heard is Union Jack, and Union Jack is he's like the British version of Captain America.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah.
I heard Union Jack.
So he was a long history in the comic book.
Now, there's a rumor that Captain Carter is getting a live action show. So he could be a character in that show.
And he could be playing kind of the more villainous version of Union Jack. Mm-hmm. Union Jack was a British citizen who ended up becoming... he was he supported the Nazi movement. While he wasn't in support of the Nazis, but he supported kind of the message they were delivering across the world of kind of the message they were trying to spread. So he was in Nazi Germany, He ended up wanting to go back to the UK when things got nuts, and they tore up his passport and made him stay, and he ended up being imprisoned in the same lab of the German Nazi scientists who developed the German version of the super soldier serum, and he gave it to Union Jack as a way, said, protect this with your life, don't let anybody have it. And Union Jack said, screw it, I'm just going to use it. And he actually took the super soldier and ended up becoming like the British version of Captain America. So, maybe that's a version that and you're right, if now there's some talk, no official announcements or anything, but if there's talk about Haley Atwell coming back as Captain Britain or the Captain Carter, and having her own limited series on Disney Plus or whatever, maybe he's going to play a role in that. Who knows?
It's a big get. Good
actor. But Jason Statham is huge. So again, another big actor. We're kind of interested to see what they're going to go with him. You had heard a rumor about Ezra Miller being replaced as the Flash potentially, right?
Yeah, I think there's a petition out there to get Ezra Miller off the Flash. It's not going to happen, people. I mean, they filmed that. He's the lead character. He plays multiple variants of the Flash in that. So they're not getting rid of him. And the rumor was that Dylan O'Brien was going to take over the role. Well, that was debunked by Discovery, Warner Brothers. They came out and said that we have an open dialogue with Ezra. We are in the Ezra Miller team, and once his story comes out, it will answer a lot of questions. But we continue to have an open dialogue and a relationship with Ezra Miller. That's what they said.
I will reserve judgment.
But I know you don't like. I don't either. But and I'm not excited.
Here's what I'm going to say. That better be a good movie.
Oh, it has to be.
That better be a good movie.
Oh,
his career will
Black
be over.
Adam.
His career will be over. Well, Black Adam will... Look, tell me one stinker, terrible, bad movie Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson has made. Tell
Hercules.
Me one. That wasn't a bad movie.
Oh.
What a bad movie. And that was one of his first.
Yeah. Ugh.
Even the Mummy movie that he made where he played like the
Scorpion
King, that was great. He was like an Arnold Schwarzenegger in that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
Both of them were all right. I mean, he's a specimen for sure.
But he's very well-liked, very entertaining.
Yes.
I think he'll do... And he has put his heart and soul into this character. That'll be great. But The Flash better be good.
It's got to be off the charts
It better be good. Because Ezra Miller, nobody will want to hire him if he bombs this one. And we'll talk about somebody else who's dealing with that right now here in a minute. So you also heard a rumor about Marvel making some announcements about Fantastic Four sometime this year, correct?
Yeah, I think Comic-Con, they're going to come out with the casting on that.
So they're going to make an official casting announcement about the Fantastic Four during Comic-Con this year. And I had this feeling, since it's been so long, since Marvel's been in front of... like the last really big announcement we had for Marvel was... last big attendance of Comic-Con was in 2018 or 19, I can't remember. Well, we had D23 in 2019, which was huge, which announced all of Phase 4, basically.
Virtually.
No, that was 2020 was the virtual one. 2019 was the in-person D23 where Kevin Feige got on stage and announced the entire Phase 4, schedule. The video was 2020 when we had the pandemic.
But only up through 2023.
Well, we had some... That's where he was... The last big announcement where he said... and the last thing he said was Fantastic Four. That was one where he brought Mahershala Ali on stage and told me everybody's Blade. And then he said, and we have another big project coming called the Fantastic Four. And we didn't even have a chance to talk about mutants. That was Comic-Con. That was D23 in 2019. But they haven't made any big announcements and haven't had a Comic-Con presence for a number of years, obviously because we haven't had one. But this is now going to be the first in-person Comic-Con, and I think all of these studios are dying to be part of it. And I would be surprised if they're not going to make some major announcements at Comic-Con this year. And a Fantastic Four casting announcement, bringing those guys out on stage at Comic-Con in Hall H would be freaking enormous.
Oh, yeah.
Would be huge. And we've heard a lot of rumors about who might be directing, who might be starring in those roles now. So I think we're going to cover that as a topic of the week next week. We won't get into that this week. But
John Watt and everything. Yeah, we should. That's a good topic of the week.
So anyway, the fact that we're going to get that at Comic-Con this year is going to be great. We did get an announcement today as well that production has begun on the Echo series on Disney Plus.
Yeah, we got the first still from that today.
Yeah, they showed a still of Alaqua Cox, I believe is her name.
Maya, yeah.
Yeah. Alaqua Cox is the name of the actress, playing Maya Lopez, Echo, in her full costume, kind of on set. We got a really good picture, high quality picture of her on set. So they have begun production. They are filming that show, and they did announce that will be coming in 2023. So we know that that's on the schedule for 2020. No specific date about that yet, but they did make an announcement that's coming. So again, I think you and I aren't incredibly excited about the Echo character, nor are we really have any idea of what the series is going to be about. I think what we're more excited about is who potentially could be in that series. Is that the return of Matt Murdock in Daredevil, right? Is that the return of the Kingpin character? Is that these are the things that we're looking forward to? Is this what's going to happen? Does the Punisher come back in that? Correct. You know, there's lots of things we're looking forward to.
They could introduce a lot. It's a great doorway to open up. Plus, it's a fascinating character. I think they're going to do a really good job of bringing Echo into the MCU as an anti-hero type person that grew up in the
having a physically disabled, she's deaf, having a physically disabled character as a primetime, person on a series is, I think, a huge win for them as well. And I think she did a very good job in the Hawkeye series. She was definitely a supporting character in that, but I think she did very well. Yeah. So I was surprised at how well she did. So
considering she's not a trained actress.
No. Yeah, this is her first big role, right?
For big. Yep.
So the train keeps rolling on this thing. So for those of you who've been watching the Johnny Depp Amber Heard defamation suit that's happening here in our local area for the last 2.5 months. Boy, the stories keep coming, and we heard more interesting news about how this whole situation has affected Amber Heard and her participation in the Aquaman sequel. So we know Aquaman. What's the name of the movie? It's called Aquaman.
In the Lost Kingdom.
Mm-hmm. She had signed a 3-picture deal with Warner Brothers that was to include Justice League, Aquaman 1, and Aquaman 2. So she had signed a 3-picture contract with Warner Brothers. And when Johnny Depp first came, she testified during the trial of the effects of this whole situation on her and her career, that when Johnny Depp came out and his publicist came out and said that her allegations were wacky and were just, completely off the rails, and she's a crazy person. It really affected her career. Warner Brothers did release her from her contract. She said she fought to stay in the movie. She wanted to stay in the movie. She wanted her character to still be in the movie. But she said the script had been, her role in the movie had been diminished substantially.
Yeah.
That when, the first script she read, she had a pretty big role in the movie, and then they rewrote the script, which is, I believe, one of the reasons why we had the big delay of that movie. They rewrote that script, and she said when she read the rewrites that her role had been diminished substantially. There was a massive fight scene in the movie between her and somebody else who she can't say because she didn't want to leak anything. But she said that was completely removed from the script. It's gone. And she admits, she says, I have no idea if I'm even in the final cut, and if I am, how much of the final cut I'm in. Right. So she's very disappointed about how this whole thing's affected her, and I don't think anybody's shedding many tears over her right now.
I think she's still getting paid.
Yeah, I mean, she got paid for the contract, but unfortunately, I think look, she's not the star of the movie. She was only a supporting character anyway. I think one of the biggest obvious things they're going to do is diminish the love interest and the relationship between her character and Aquaman, because they're just like, well, this can't go anywhere, right? So we'll see how it affects it, but yeah, that's definitely something
that'll be fun to follow.
She's reaping what she's sown, I guess, at this point in time. All right, well, let's jump into the topic of the week this week, brought to us by our friends over at Studio GG Studios. You were down with Tiny Tim this weekend. So
yeah, we were down there at G Studios and got a couple of previews of what's to come. I actually convinced their bass player, the GOAT, from Studio GG Studios, to come up and be on the show. So in June, we're going to have a live performance by the GOAT from Studio GG Studios.
He can perform our theme song live.
He's going to perform, he says, the Batman theme song.
Even better.
But yeah, we'll have him on for a little bit.
Not quite as popular as our theme song, but people are familiar with it.
He might be, he might do some Black Viper. Yeah, he might do some of that. But Yeah, we'll have him on the show for
Sure,
a little
that'd
bit.
be awesome.
Absolutely. Welcome aboard, Studio GG Studios.
And thanks for your continued support, Studio G. So go visit their YouTube page. We always put that link into our show notes. So please go visit them and support them because they support us. So our topic of the week this week is kind of the reaction and the feedback that's been out since the premiere of Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. We were able to see it prior to last weekend on opening weekend. And it had a phenomenal opening weekend and has continued to do well in the box office since. This has really, I think, just been a home run for Marvel. Even though you and I thought it was a very good Marvel movie, not great by any means,
Right.
not in the top 10, not just a spectacular movie, but it was very good. I actually saw it with my daughter for the second time. We saw it when we were down in Orlando. We went and saw it on Saturday night. And again, I liked it very much, but even seeing it the second time, I'm like, okay, this was good.
Yeah.
It's not great, but it's good.
Right.
But I tell you what, the numbers speak for themselves. It had a massive box office number.
Yeah.
I mean,
I just saw the number today, the updated from there.
yeah, that's what I have in the notes here. So, $222 million opening weekend, which is spectacular. Anything over $200 million for an opening weekend is spectacular, and it's the biggest opening weekend of any movie since the beginning of the year. So that's the biggest opening in 2022 so far.
Yeah.
And then it followed it up with another $92 million this past weekend.
Yeah.
And this is just in domestic numbers here. So 222 in opening weekend, 92 million. So that's $292 million in the domestic box office in the first 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So basically a $300 million movie in the first 2 weeks. That's pretty good. It'll probably get close to 450, 500. The worldwide numbers for this movie, listen to this. And we know it's not in Saudi Arabia.
Or China.
So two are the bigger, say China, absolutely one of the bigger markets.
China, the bigger market. Saudi
Right.
Arabia, not so much.
Not so much. But we know that it's not in certain places in the world. It's done $689 million internationally.
Yeah.
So across the world in all markets, including the U.S.
It's
number.
creeping up on $1 billion.
For Marvel to have a $1 billion movie that's really kind of I would say, a secondary movie for them. It's not one of the Avengers movies. It's not like one of their big, multi-team crossovers or anything like that.
Yeah.
That is a humongous number.
Yeah.
And I think it goes to show two things. You put out quality content with quality actors, with a quality plot, and people will go see it. Yeah. We're all dying for good things to go watch. And this was a good thing to go watch.
Yeah.
And the
very
marketing,
entertaining.
And the marketing engine was off the charts for this.
Of course, yeah.
And continues to be.
Yeah, I think they showed too much. I would have liked some of those cameos and those reveals to be more of a surprise. But this movie was watched so closely with a microscope from a lot of geeks' perspectives, and they dug into this, and every little thing they got, they analyzed up and down and backwards and forwards, and it was going to happen because this was a big one, but still a really good movie. But yeah, it's doing amazing. Without China, to put up those numbers without China, that's crazy.
Yeah, and the critical reviews have been pretty good as well. I mean, it's got a 74% rating, 74% fresh rating on Rotten Tomatoes from the critics, and an 85% fresh rating from the audience, which is very good. It's not astronomical, but it's very good.
Yeah.
And again, I think one of the things that we were most happy with were where this was leading to in the future.
Yeah.
It opened up the concept of mutants, like with Professor X. It opened up the concept of
the multiverse,
variants and incursions and the multiverse and a lot of things that we know.
Remember that word, people, incursions from this movie. Very important.
Yeah. So where this could lead in the future and where I think this movie is kind of taking the MCU over the next couple of years is huge. We're going to see the repercussions of the events of this movie manifest themselves in Disney Plus shows and movies for the next couple of years.
Yeah.
I do believe that.
So cameos that were in it and cameos that didn't make the cut.
Well, that's what's interesting. Now that the cat's out of the bag, obviously everybody's hush hush until the movie comes out. They can't say anything. People can't be, confirm or deny whether they're in the movie officially, all those other things. Well, now that the cat's out of the bag, everybody can talk.
Yeah.
And we got not only the writer of the movie came out and disclosed a lot of things that they had originally planned that got cut. There was reports of things that were filmed and never made the movie.
Yeah.
And there's also some things they wanted to do but weren't able to do because of scheduling conflicts and some other things. But that was kind of the most interesting kind of things that came out this past week.
Things that they filmed and test audience were like, ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you made a mention last week that one of the biggest omissions, one of the things members of the Illuminati you wanted to see, and you thought it was a great opportunity for them to introduce the Namor character into the MCU through this movie.
Yeah.
And as an original member, I mentioned last week that he wasn't. Well, he kind of turned it down. Well, that was a Black Panther that turned down the Illuminati membership. Namor was a member.
What?
Yeah.
Are you retracting?
Yeah, I'm retracting.
Oh, wow.
Namor was a member, but he ultimately turned against the Illuminati later on.
Disagreed with them.
Yeah, and really kind of went very heavily against them. Black Panther was offered membership, and he's like, you guys are nuts. I'm not doing this. And Namor was in it. But Namor being Namor, he was kind of always...
Oh, a lone wolf.
He always kind of had his best interest at heart, even though he was a member. But your point last week was, what a great opportunity for them to introduce him into the MCU. We know the actor that's been cast in that role. Why not bring him in and put him on the team? And what the writer came out and said is, we wanted to do that because he was an original member of the Illuminati. We wanted to put him on that team. However, Marvel had other plans for the character, and basically what he said was, we were unable to do that.
Yeah, Kevin Feige came in and said, nah, it's gonna be more impactful for the Black Panther to introduce
see him for the first time.
Yeah, so
I think that's part of it. The other part of it is, I think they used, as we saw in the movie, this version of the Illuminati as cannon fodder for the Scarlet Witch. I mean, she freaking wrecked every single one of them. And
I saw a meme with all of them, the shot with John Krasinski and the Black Bolt and Peggy Carter and all of them standing there, and the meme said, the new Suicide Squad.
Basically. But yeah, they were like literally cannon fodder. I mean, she ended up killing all of them except one.
Yeah.
Who just happened to not be in the line of fire. But I think they didn't want to put anybody on the Illuminati that was going to be playing a major role in a future project to be torn down so quickly and easily by a single character would have maybe diminished their power and the threat that they may have posed. Like, so for Namor, for example, if he's playing the villain in the Black Panther movie and all of a sudden goes out there and tries to wrestle Wanda and she like tears him apart, or turns him into water or whatever. And then when we see him in Black Panther, well, this guy's not that special, right? So it might have diminished his powers and things like that. Right. So I think a lot of these that we're going to talk about today, that reason will hold true with, I think, several of them.
Yeah, which makes sense. I'm okay now that I hear that why they kind of skipped over Namor. So.
Well, I think, and to Kevin Feige's defense, I think the first time we see this character, they want it to have...
impact.
They want the shock value of when we see him, how we see him, and why we see him. And if he was sitting on the throne there, and one of the reasons why all of these theories are out here is because there was an empty chair on the Illuminati stage. So there were 6 of them, and there was a 7th chair that was empty the whole time. And we're thinking, well, who did they digitally remove somebody from that chair? And we believe now from what we've heard that they did. And there's some theories about who that person was. There were a lot of empty
chairs during the release of the teaser.
Yes.
There were a lot. And we knew they had emptied or digitally removed a lot of people. And they did. When we see the movie, the final cut of it, they did remove that, that's what brought up all the speculation.
Well, and in the final cut of the movie, there was the final chair, the far right-hand chair was still empty. And we're like, who was that?
Well, they killed Dr. What was his name? Not Defender. Supreme?
Strange. No, it was I don't know what
the one that they killed, right?
Yeah, but that Mordo took over that seat.
Yeah, well,
he took over the seat. He wasn't on the Illuminati until
that's right, because he became the Sorcerer Supreme.
Right, exactly. Yeah, so there was always an empty chair. So again, here's some of the theories, and again, some of these scenes were actually filmed in the movie and never made the final cut. And like Titanium said, because of test audiences or it just didn't go over very well.
Tom Cruise was a big one.
Yeah, and the writer Michael Waldron said that we absolutely wanted to have a Iron Man variant on the Illuminati because Iron Man was part of the original Illuminati. We wanted to have an Iron Man variant, and we knew getting Tom Cruise to play Superior Iron Man would have been a huge get. And he said, we talked about it. We contacted his people. We talked to his team. We wanted to bring him on, and we just couldn't make it work. They said he was so busy filming Mission Impossible 12 or whatever he's, the next Mission Impossible movie. He was way too busy. We couldn't get him in the studio to film any scenes, and it just didn't work out. But they said they absolutely wanted that to happen, and they had written it into the script, but it just didn't work.
Yeah, with COVID protocol and all that, he was sketchy in the first place about that, especially on Mission Impossible, so it just didn't work out.
Yeah, and he was filming Mission Impossible somewhere else, and he didn't want to have to fly to like Atlanta to film another, and just put himself at risk, and put his other project behind or whatever it might be. So. But they did say we wrote that part into the script, and it just didn't make it, which is not surprising. And again, there were lots of fan rumors about that happening. So website Heavy Spoilers came out and actually reported that Daniel Craig had filmed scenes to be on the Illuminati as Thor's brother, Balder the Brave. And he had actually filmed these scenes to be in the Illuminati as Balder the Brave, and I think what they said was it didn't work because it wasn't a very recognizable character, and it wasn't somebody that had originally been on the Illuminati.
Yeah.
People would have recognized Daniel Craig, but they really wouldn't have known who he was playing.
There's no backstory,
right?
At least some people.
It didn't make sense.
Yeah, for Marvel fans, we know who the Black Bolt is, and with that limited series, also we got a little taste of, outside of the comics. But yeah, I don't think that would have worked either. Daniel Craig, huge get though.
Yeah,
huge.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Yeah, so that was another one.
Yeah.
The other rumor, Michael Fassbender. His version of Magneto was going to be the 7th member of the Illuminati. And that the one sentence that Professor X says in Doctor Strange was exactly the same thing he said in Days of Future Past when he was talking to his past self, when he says, just because somebody wanders off the path doesn't make them a bad person. And he was referring to Magneto when he was saying that, right? And having him on, like the Fassbender version of Magneto on this Illuminati team would have been interesting.
Yeah.
But again, they felt it didn't work, and it wasn't kind of in line. And people were like, why
not an original member?
Yeah, and why is Charles Xavier Patrick Stewart here, but then we have Michael Fassbender, Magneto. Yeah. Where was Ian McKellen and all these? And maybe they offered it to Ian McKellen and he turned it down. We don't know, but that was another rumor. We heard the rumor that Deadpool was originally scheduled to be in one of the post-credit scenes. So the stupid post-credit scene we had Pizza Ball Guy, Sam Raimi's dude saying it's over. The dumb thing that we stayed for the end of the credits for that meant nothing. That was supposed to be a Deadpool scene, and they said it just didn't work with the theme of the movie, and it would have caused more confusion, and they would have to explain too much, and it just didn't work. But they had actually planned to write a Deadpool after post-credit scene for the movie.
But Sam Raimi, I think, wanted to get his little a calling card. That's his calling card, right? So he added that end credit scene as his calling card, and I think people that love Sam Raimi kind of appreciated that. Yeah. So I think it worked.
Yeah. The other big thing that we know for a fact happened was Chiwetel Ejiofor's Baron Mordo character. So we saw the other universe version of him in the movie.
I heard this started off the show.
Yeah, that the 616R version of Baron Mordo, if you remember at the end of the first Doctor Strange movie,
was hunting magical people, wizards, and
made a pact to go after people who had and were using magic unlawfully or for the wrong reasons. And the example they gave us in the post-credit scene of the first movie was the guy who had gone to Kamar-Taj, had received training, learned how to use magic, and used it to heal his paralysis. And he took the magic away from him, and he was re-paralyzed. And so they said they were originally going to start this movie off with Baron Mordo going after and hunting Wanda for what she did in Westview, and her basically just completely
killing him.
Yeah, and
because in the movie, Doctor Strange says that my Mordo, Baron Mordo, was trying to kill me.
Right.
Yeah. So that would have been cool. But I think that was one of the scenes that did not test well. They actually filmed it.
Right. Filmed it.
it did not test well.
And it
People
didn't
were like,
test well. And I think the other reason they took it out is because I do believe they have plans to use our version of that character in the future. And had they killed him off in this movie, he'd been gone, right? So I think they kind of just rolled that one back a little bit. And to your point, if it doesn't test well in the test audiences, they're going to be like, yeah, let's just scrap it. Finally, the last member of the Illuminati that they considered including was Ghost Rider. And
this is probably one that I'm upset they didn't use.
They filmed these scenes. They filmed scenes with Ghost Rider in the chair as part of the Illuminati, and we don't know what actor was there. We don't know who played the role in the scenes they filmed. They didn't release that, but the writer said, yes, we considered including Ghost Rider as the 7th member of the Illuminati. We decided to take it out. Didn't test well, whatever. And we have bigger plans for that character.
Was he sitting there as the human, or was he sitting there with his skull on fire?
I guess we won't know.
Yeah, we're not gonna.
Right, we don't know. Was it Johnny Blaze or was it Ghost Rider? You know, yeah. And does he turn into Ghost Rider when?
Who is the actor playing it?
And does he, give her the penance stare and all this other? I mean, and look, I can't wait for that character to come back to the MCU. But that was another one. So that that was the. Did you hear any others that were potentially in?
No, that pretty much covered it. The Iron Man one was pretty big, and the fact that they were going to kill Mordo off in the very beginning as he went to hunt the Scarlet Witch. I think that's it. I think that was all of them. I don't think they had any. Spider-Man, nope, nope.
Yeah, and it really, to me, is very... I think I did hear at one point in time that potentially Tobey Maguire's version of Spider-Man was going to show up somewhere in this movie, and people are like, where would that have happened?
Yeah.
Like, and when, and how, and why? And maybe in one of the multiverses that they traversed, that he would have been swinging through the streets or something like that, but that would have been very weird, too. But again, this is what's very interesting about movies like this, that Marvel keeps such tight reins on all of their actors and their writers and producers and directors, and they can't say anything for so long. And then all of a sudden, the floodgates open and people want to talk about it. We got a lot of that when Morbius finally came out, like 2 years after they had finished the project. We got, statements from the director that said, they completely rewrote a bunch of the movie and maybe changed the post-credit scenes and do all this other stuff because they have some plans that they bastardized my movie. But we hear all this stuff come out, and these were very fun because the fans have been talking about what's going to be in this movie for a long, long time. And to hear that a lot of the ideas the fans had and a lot of the rumors they were hearing were absolutely true.
Yeah. That's cool.
They were considered and either scrapped or changed because it just didn't work, right?
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we're looking forward to the next movie and the next show coming out. I hear the bell, Professor. Let's wrap it up.
All right, well, that's it for us this week. We'll be back next week for more Super Talk. To get in touch with us on social media, hit us up via email, supertalkpodcast@outlook.com or at supertalkpod on Twitter. Until then, stay super, everyone.
And we out.
Thanks again, YouTube.
Thanks, YouTube. Like and subscribe. Thank you.